Hack Week. Dave and I kind of just got off of, we just shipped TeamRoom. I don't know if you've ever seen it, it's pretty cool. Yeah, it's pretty cool for us. And so we developed most of that code, and so we were really familiar. So when it came to Hack Week, 1 week later, we figured we had to make it a lot better. And so we came up with the idea of having plugins for the TeamRoom that people could make. And right from the get-go, we kind of ran into a wall with the internet. It doesn't like when you have external resources accessing your stuff. It's called cross-order. So they do that because it's a little bit unsafe. And anyway, long story short is we created technology that allows people to make plugins for the TeamRoom that is pretty safe and allows for a really strict API that plugin developers can use. So it's cross-site scripting friendly. Yes. So we've created the technology, and then our project is about showing off this technology. This is our GitHub project that shows how to use the technology and documents the API for developers to use.
Where's the piece of paper? Okay. All right. So this is our set list. We have so the API. So we want to look at admin. So if you go into TeamRoom now, if you go into TeamRoom and we pick up any TeamRoom, you've probably seen the settings guy. We've added a section for plugins, and these are just all the kind of plugins that have been developed against that API that we looked at over here. One of the kind of inspirations for plugins was, just to kind of step back for a second, was Google Labs. If any Gmail users here, if you go into settings, there's this Labs section, and you can, and so in this Labs section, you can kind of choose different widgets that appear in your Gmail and make it a very customized experience. So our moral equivalent of that is in plugins here, and we can add various plugins. So I can demo, I can say website, right? And that's going to be boom. We'll go back to TeamRoom. I'll now have a panel here called website, and that will let us see that. So that could be any kind of anything, right? It takes a bit to load. I think that's our website's fault. Okay, so but it is a very nice website. So we can see Dan and I did this last time. This is what we did to win Hack Week last time. And of course, then we're going to have Bordello, and we can add our cards, and this is a real time thing. This one reminded me how awesome it was. A year later, it still holds up. Yeah. So that's kind of an example of a panel plugin, but one thing Dan did is kind of in the APIs, he created a number of different ways of extending the TeamRoom. So just to give you a little bit of a flavor, actually I'm going to turn it over to Dan.
Thank you, Dave.
Yeah, you bet.
Yes, please drive. All right, so with the panel plugin, or with the panel API, you can do whatever you want inside the panel. And so one example of a plugin that might help teams is this little other side project that I did this Hack Week at night called Notes. And basically, it's a list of things. So you could put like retrospective topics, or vacation days, or team food ideas, or whatever you need as a team to coordinate. And this is an idea of one thing that you could do with the panel plugin. And we can ship this too. Not working? Yeah.
User.
It works. Yeah, so this particular one, it's very simple. You can add lists of notes, and then you can check them off as they're done. And then there's a little show close filter to show the ones that you've done. So it's super simple, and you can install many instances of this plugin to keep track of different things. So so that's a cool visual element. Another cool visual element that we wanted to allow is radiators, and it's kind of like the name that we gave to the things at the top. And one thing that people might want to do is get notified when their build breaks. So in the loft, we don't have a flashing light that tells us when the build breaks. So created this little plugin that doesn't actually work, but it can show you the possibilities of this API. Is we've added this little green orb here, and that's to tell you that the build is working. And that can be fully interactive and send messages to and from the team room. So it can poll your build server, and let's say the build breaks. It turns red, and now you know. And we have another API to flash that side. So let's take a look at another radiator plugin. Carl, our wonderful designer on the marketing side, said that he needs to keep track of time he spends on a project. And I assume that a lot of developers in big, nasty organizations make them track their time. So maybe something that you could do is use this other little side project that is a small timer. And you want to start your story, then you just press the start button, and it's a timer. But anyway, it's integrated with the team room, so you can totally track your time. Okay, so yeah, those are a couple of radiators, a couple of panels. Dave's got another one here.
So these are all pretty simple plugins. They all grab content from the outside and display them somewhere in the team room. So we thought it'd be more also interesting to be able to take actions that users make in the team room and be able to interact with plugins and let you say, well, gee, I selected someone that was in the participants list, which is what that little strip of users is called. So this is a little bit smoke and mirrors, but we have this personas plugin. And so when I click this guy, the idea with this is that this panel then would bring in all kind of content about that person. That's just that's a Matthew mock-up. But the idea here is latest updates might show you stuff they've edited in Confluence. Links might just be things they like. Maybe we can put their disk profile. We use that to say, leave this person alone or social. Yeah, so the idea, the big thing here is by clicking on Johnny Waffles, I can pass that information to a plugin, and they can act on it and do interesting things. So our notion is just kind of find a bunch of hooks in the team room, and just publish them as our API, and anyone that wants to make a plugin can hook into that, get that information, dynamically update the plugins, maybe customize, whatever, right? So we just kind of scratch the surface. There's a lot of things. We wouldn't necessarily want personas here to show up as a panel. It might be kind of cool as like a sidecar or a, task tray thing or something like that. But just to illustrate that, is that pretty much? Yeah.
I mean, that's pretty much it. I think, the idea here is that we can build a community of people that are building plugins, not just integrations with our XML API. They can actually have visual plugins. And we can start a community that people share their plugins, and we can even ship our own features as a plugin that people can install and have people really customize the team room for what they really want. That's it.
A little bit different approach with our Hack Week project. One of the higher requested features on IdeaSpace for version 1 is an application or a way to facilitate planning poker within teams, ways to estimate stories, and a good way to facilitate that digitally. And there's a couple places out there that do something similar, but we wanted to take sort of a version 1 stab at doing that. So we came up with making a sort of self-hosted, simple app for doing planning poker. And Matt and I worked on it, and we called it.
No. I'm doing it here.
I'll use the webcam on there to show off the logo.
You can do it here. Shit. Make presenter. Yes.
So while Matt's getting set up here, the idea was to create something very simple, very terse, and very directed towards facilitating playing poker. Definitely for remote teams and being able to gather everyone into one spot and talk about a very particular thing, and then a more scientific way to gather estimates and average them together and provide some basic statistics. And this is a really basic implementation. We would love to take it a lot further than that. I'm going to pass it over to Matt.
So we made this app called Estimably to fulfill this idea. So the idea here is that there is a dealer component, and this guy is in charge of running the game. So you create a room, call this one demo, and then anyone who wants to be involved in estimating can join this room. So James is going to log in from his phone, and I'm going to hop on from this iPad right here.
Can you on the screen? Yeah. So we're going to have a couple different people sort of join up.
So is what you're seeing on your phone the same as we're seeing on the browser here?
Correct.
We just have a little mock-up of the player application right now. It just says it's waiting to join, or waiting for a round to start. So, guys in the room, but no round has been started yet. Okay, so you can see that on the back on the dealer side, there's 3 players here, and we're going to go to the start round. So let's estimate IE 6 support. We're going to go back in time. So in the player app, you now see this, and right now there's a drop down, so you can choose your estimate. I personally think it would be like 1,000. 13 is the highest option here, and you can also specify a confidence level. I feel very confident about that. And so then you get a little progress bar of how the round is progressing, and then back on the dealer app, same kind of thing.
And so I'm going to go ahead and vote on my phone. And so voting is kept somewhat confidential while a thing is in progress. So you can see how many people have, so the idea was that voting should be kept somewhat confidential while it's in progress, so you don't sort of intimidate someone into going a bit higher or lower than they should. And try to collect as valuable statistics as possible. And then when everybody's done, I'll just switch back over to the player projector. Basically, you get the progress report. Basically says 100% of people have cast their votes, ready to go. And now,
same thing here. So when we end the round, you now see each player and their estimate, their confidence levels, and then we also show the minimum, maximum, median, and average. So let's choose one of these and say, oh, I think that's the chosen estimate. And the idea is that you can integrate with different systems, VersionOne, and send that information to it.
correct. And then it's ready to go for entirely another sort of estimation round. You just put in another estimate and description, and hit begin again. Then all the people that are presently connected will start estimating that new one, and you switch right over to the perfect.
So a couple days ago, down at the lofts, fueled by a lot of caffeine, and was talking to Dan Lash, and he says, "Hey, we're working on this TeamRoom plugin thing." And we're like, "Well, that sounds pretty cool. Maybe we can channel our inner Emerald, kick it up a notch, and integrate Estimably into TeamRoom." And so that's what we did. show you this. So we have a Estimably plugin right here. It's already been trademarked. We'll be talking with Robert about, licensing shortly. But let's go ahead and join a separate room, maybe demo 2. So same interface, right? I'm going to join on this iPad also. James and I are both here. And then we didn't want to, leave this as simple as it was before. So the next thing you can do here is drag a story into Estimably and estimate this. So, can you see those story, James?
No, I'm not.
Yes, please. Powered by TeamRoom plugins, thank you. And there we go. And wow, we're in sync here. We got both 5s, perfect.
Yeah.
So I feel very good about that. So now when you do this, you get this nice little thing, and you can actually save this estimate right back to the asset.